Good afternoon and welcome to our continuing series of in-depth school and community special editions. We're trying to do a show every day to look at some of the issues that are confronting the district today as we're in this remote learning mode, and who knows how long it's going to last. Today I'm really pleased to have with us some unusual people. We're going to call them our invisible heroes because you don't see them very often. We don't see them very often either, for that matter. But let me introduce my guests, if I could. Matt Cashman, who's Director of Facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Bass.
Pam McLeod is Director of Technology.
Thank you.
And remote, calling from parts unknown, is Mr. Terry Crotty, who is the Director of Transportation. He's on Zoom, and I hope he can hear me.
Good afternoon. Good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Yeah, I'm in the transportation office right now. Good
Oh,
afternoon.
great. Thanks, Terry. Thank you. The reason, again, I call them our invisible heroes is they do an awful lot of work behind the scenes that most people aren't even aware of. And Matt, why don't we start with you? Talk to us about, your magic gun and some other things that you've been doing around the district to try to make sure that while school was in session, that we had it as clean and as appropriate as possible.
Absolutely, Dr. Bass. As you know, on a prior show, I showed you the electrostatic sprayer. We have 2 hospital-grade disinfectants that we use. We've been using this even before the COVID-19 outbreak. But all of our crew is out there disinfecting everything, cleaning everything. When we clean, and I put some pictures forward, when we do our cleaning, we also, block off the rooms so that anyone who should or would come into the building, if they forget something, they'll know that that area has been disinfected.
Nice.
So it's a good way to communicate. We communicate a lot through the principals, through the head custodians, our maintenance crew, everyone. This is truly an all-hands effort. We've all been trying to help each other out.
Right. So. Now, all the buildings are closed, correct?
They are closed.
And any time someone comes into the building, your people are Johnny on the spot to make sure it's all cleaned up.
You're right. So what we did is we allowed teachers up until the end of business today to come in and get the rest of their teaching materials. We have 3 schools that are open for food service. It's the high school, Krista McAuliffe, and Broken Ground. So the service entries for those are very close to the kitchen. So we've quarantined pretty much all other parts of the school except for the kitchens because they're going to be producing lunches and delivering them. So just in those areas, those are going to be our access in to get the food and deliver it out the door.
Wow, that's great. I take it you guys have been really super busy.
We really have. I mean, I can't say enough about our guys. They've just, and when I say guys, I mean guys and girls. Our crew has just really been working really hard, a little bit out of their regular normal duties. They've been out there just pitching in. A bunch of them help deliver foods. We help deliver materials. It's been a nice hands-on effort.
That's terrific. Speaking of delivery, Terry, bus drivers. So, I mean, most people are looking at the buses and saying, well, there's no kids here, so I guess the bus drivers have nothing to do. We had some technical difficulties with Terry. We're trying to get to him about the use of the bus drivers and how he was able to use them to transport food. But, this is a good segue into you, Pam. So talk to us about some of the issues we do have with the technology.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I think what Terry is experiencing is that all the cloud services are really slammed right now. So any particular video chat or online service that you're using could be extremely slow at a certain time of day because of the load all over the world, because of what's happening right now.
Yeah. And what have you been doing? I mean, not many people know about you or what you do, and I think in the last couple of weeks you've suddenly emerged as, wow, the go-to person. So talk to us about what you've been doing to help out both the board and the administration.
Boy, just so much. I keep joking, this is what I've trained for my entire career. Fortunately, we're in a district that has sort of gotten us prepared for this. We had things in place. We have devices for every student in the district, grades 1 through 12. Many districts aren't in that position. So we have been making a lot of decisions about which kids take devices home, really working with the principals. I have tech integrators in each of the schools. And they are technology coaches, teachers who act as technology coaches, and they are phenomenal. So we've been trying to work out, make sure all teachers are comfortable using technology, working with virtual classrooms. And then on our side, more on the IT side too, we've had to buy laptops to make sure that our administrative assistants could take home laptops. We've had to make sure we can send and receive phone calls from our laptops at home, which isn't a capability that we had previously. So we've been scrambling to put solutions in place very, very quickly. Things that would normally take us months to implement, we've implemented in a matter of days. So I have a small crew of 5 people other than myself. They've been really doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, we had a terrific meeting on Friday morning, a good couple hours. Explain to the folks how you set that meeting up and the fact that, I mean, every single principal just about was virtual coming into the meeting. And so a few of us were there, but everyone else was somewhere else. Yeah,
so we've been getting everybody from the school board to the teacher to the students ready for virtual meetings. So whether it's Google Meet, which is what we use with students, or Microsoft Teams, which is what we use in the SAU office, or joining meetings from other organizations, everything's going to be online from now on. So we've been trying to hold all those meetings and get everybody familiar with the norms because people are not quite sure how to act in those meetings sometimes. There's some funny examples going around the internet, but you know, things like muting when you join a meeting, and you know, making sure your camera is off if you're doing something you don't want the rest of the meeting to see, those kinds of things. So we've been just trying to get everybody used to that world. K-12 is a very face-to-face world, and this has always been, oh, we don't need to do anything virtual, but we're here and, you know, we're ready to go. Yeah.
Now, we had a meeting with outside vendor, if you will, Nate Levinson. You set that meeting up for us. Now, was that Zoom or was that something? What was that?
That one was Microsoft Teams.
That was Microsoft Teams. And what's the difference between that and Google Classroom?
It's, for me, it's a matter of how they align with the tools we use every day in our space. So at the SAU office, we use Office 365, things like Word and Excel and Outlook more extensively. The teachers use the Google platform. So we're trying to keep the tools aligned with what people know and use every day. But ultimately, when you're joining an online meeting, whether it be Zoom or GoToMeeting or WebEx or Teams or Google Meet, any of these, they sort of all work the same. So once you're used to joining and participating in one, it works from one platform to another.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It sounds very complicated.
It's not when you get used to it.
Matt, now what you're also doing is you've been taking the daily calls with the commissioner, is that right?
I have. We just got off one before this show. You know, it's a good update. I think we had 180 people that call in on average. So it's a good update. It's frequent. I think the commissioner may move it to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But gleaned a lot of good information. Always take notes, share them out with folks, you know, as to what's going on at the moment.
Well, we got you on the spot, so.
You sure do. Well, as we speak, there is the governor is having a meeting that's being televised. I think we did hear, unfortunately, there was one fatality from COVID so far. But, you know, it's such a fluid situation. We're just in the ready stature at any given time for what could happen. So be that as it may, we're continuing with our process just to do whatever it takes to fill in the gaps and help out where needed.
So just out of curiosity, you're on these calls with the commissioner, and obviously there are probably another 75 or 100 people around the state who are on the call with you. So you're hearing what other schools are doing. How are they lining up compared to
some are in line with what we're doing. I think some are, you know, I think Pam and her team has done a good job working with the teachers and administrators getting us ready. Some are experiencing some problems, I think, like you mentioned, with the Google Teams and the different Zoom type meetings. But I think there's a lot of talent out there within the Department of Education. It seems that fellow administrators from different districts, we all coordinate. I just had a meeting with district directors of facilities across the state, and we're talking about tomorrow actually having a online meeting for everyone to call in and share what kind of techniques we're all using, what protocols. I think when we talked last week, just closing off the school classrooms and using the checklist, that's been a big help. I'm also trying to encourage, we do an awful lot of work with EOC, Emergency Operations Center here in Concord, New Hampshire.
That's great.
We're part of their web base now, so we're getting statewide updates that we can also share out as well.
That's great. Now, Pam, what also is interesting about all this is it sort of brings to light some of the pluses and minuses in terms of faculty being able to use the technology in the most advantageous way. So some people like myself who might have a great deal of difficulty in using the technology versus someone like Matt who can, you know, get to it like very quickly. So talk to us about how you guys try to help teachers to be more attuned to what the technology has to offer.
Yeah, I think the tech integrators will speak to that a little bit more when you talk with them, but our focus has really been on keeping it simple.
Right.
And my message to teachers, I have 2 teenagers at home who've been doing this for a couple of days now,
Yeah.
is really focus on connecting and engaging with these kids, not throwing a ton of content at them right away.
Right.
We have some seniors, we have to get them through more quickly, but for all the rest of the kids, maybe a little less focus on slamming them with content and more on making sure they're okay, because these kids are really struggling with this, or they're going to struggle with this. So really keeping it simple, use the tools you already know, don't rush into a bunch of new stuff. We've really had to try to sort of contain the, oh, can I use this, and can I use this, and can I use this? I mean, we still have data privacy requirements in our state. We try to keep student data safe. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
So really keeping teachers focused on what they're doing as a whole school or a whole grade level, and not trying too much. But they've been doing a great job.
So it sounds like, you know, you're in a position here in Concord to be able to provide a lot of support and tech help to our faculty K through 12. That's not necessarily the case in all of the districts, correct?
It is, and you know, before I came to Concord, I was in a K through 8 school, so much smaller, one school district.
Yeah.
Districts like that have, you know, in some ways an advantage because they have fewer kids,
Right.
but in some ways a disadvantage because they have less help. So
Right.
it's been very interesting. Like Matt, we're holding some conference calls with technology leaders across the state. That'll be next week, and we're going to talk about what are the things that all schools should be doing so that they're prepared for something like this? Things like having remote phone systems, like having laptops for all employees so we don't have to go buy laptops if we have an event like this. Things like that that we can do to support both teachers and to support students. But to support students, we need our employees to be able to work from home as well.
Right, right. I think you had mentioned too earlier, and maybe it was in one of the earlier shows, but so if we do a meeting with the public, we now have the capability of having the public call in.
Yes.
And so they're able to say, I think the budget is too high or the budget is too low, whatever their concern might be, they have that opportunity. Whereas if you didn't have that technology, we could perhaps do the virtual meeting, but then if the public's not able to chime in on it, it really doesn't serve the purpose.
Yeah, I'm working very closely with Josh here at ConcordTV, and we're talking about how to do these meetings. The state is sort of scrambling to figure out the requirements around these meetings because this isn't the way we do things in New Hampshire usually.
Right, right.
So New Hampshire's all about local politics and face-to-face. So, you know, I think we're looking at live streaming meetings to as many platforms as we can, to making sure people can call in with questions, to having an email way for people to send in questions. Which will be the best ways. If they can email them and we can handle them systematically, that's going to be the easiest.
Good point. Good point.
And then, you know, running the meeting and making sure Josh's team takes care of all of the technology side of it, which is great.
Now, going forward, Pam, sounds to me like next year when we have snow days, we're not going to have snow days.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, won't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, not my call, but it seems like it would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, so you'd be in a position to be able to run school basically like we are doing right now, remote learning during a snow day. And so, yeah, school's closed, nobody goes into the building, but guess what? A lot of educational opportunity is still in process, and therefore it will not count as a snow day. And therefore, whatever our day of departure is, June 10th, 5th, whatever it happens to be, we'd be able to hold to that, as opposed to saying, well, we had 4 snow days, so it's going to go into next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, many districts do blizzard bags, what they call blizzard bags, where they send packets or materials home at a time. Those are sometimes criticized for being superficial.
Yes.
But I don't think that's the case in all districts. I think it depends on how the district handles it and puts it together. So Concord has never talked about doing those. I think probably because of the equity issues in Concord, we have so many people who don't have internet at home, making sure that we have equal access opportunities for all of our kids.
That's a great point. I'm glad you raised that. So a lot of the kids, you know, they have all this stuff coming through them, to them, you know, via the internet. But yet we have many families who don't have Wi-Fi or don't have computer technology in their home. So what teachers have done is to create, in a sense, a dual platform. To create opportunities for people to have materials in their hand as opposed to doing it over electronically.
And Anecdotally, I'm told that Comcast is providing free internet for a while.
I heard that, yes.
And to families who qualify, if you have a child in our school district, you do qualify for that free internet, and there's a couple of other conditions that they have, like no outstanding previous bills with them, things
Right.
like that. But I have heard anecdotally that Comcast is keeping very busy installing those, which is great. One of our tech integrators who will be talking with you in the next episode is really taking our lead on working with that internet access issue.
Wow, that's great.
So I'm not aware of any other types of offers for folks in the Concord area, but that's a good one. And so if you don't have internet at home, definitely give Comcast a call, ask for Internet Essentials, and they should be able to hook you up. And I think they're offering like 60 days for free. And
Wow.
then it goes to $10 a month if you're income qualified for that.
So, just for example, Matt doesn't have internet in his house, and he's got 2 kids to go to our school, right? So if he calls Comcast and asks for
Internet Essentials.
Internet Essentials, if everything else comes, goes the way it's supposed to go, he then gets the internet set up in his house, correct?
Yes.
And it's 60 days free of charge.
Yes.
At the end of those 60 days, Matt can say, gee, I really like this, and is there a way for me to keep it? And how would he do that?
He's had to work with Comcast. That doesn't go through us, but they have a way for income qualified people to get a $9.95 per month fee.
That's wonderful.
So
Holy
Josh
cow.
can flash. I think they can add the number to the broadcast
Wow.
for Internet Essentials.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
That's
it's
really,
been
really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matt, now back to you again for a second. So I mean, obviously, when school's in session, you guys are super busy because you
Correct.
want to make sure the buildings are up to speed, clean. You also are responsible during snow days to make sure that the sidewalks are plowed and things like
Absolutely.
that, right?
That is
And
correct.
so the question is, what are you doing now?
And I'm kind of glad. I'm glad you asked that question because we tie in remotely, so
Yeah.
We've set all of our buildings back through
Yeah.
building automation.
Right.
Siemens is the brains nucleus behind that program that
Yep.
controls all our HVAC, all our
Wow.
conditioning
Yeah.
in the buildings.
Yeah.
But we still have things go on. We still have pipes break. Hopefully
good point.
not.
Yep.
But we have emergencies that happen, so we're always maintaining. And again, I think just being out and available to help out where needed. So if we're not working or fixing on something, we're going to obviously lend a hand to help deliver, help do whatever it takes for the district, and ultimately help our students and our families.
That's great. I mean, obviously, both of you bring up the same issue. We talked about this in the last show. All the buildings are shut down, and no one has to come in to work. But you guys have all chosen to come into the central office on a regular basis and to be available to help out, which is just really great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to thank you both for coming in. This is
Thank you,
great. I
Dr.
want
Bess.
people to know the faces behind a lot of the programs and projects that you guys are responsible for. And without you, clearly, we would not be able to do what we do. So, and to Terry, too, who we lost with our electronics. But thank you all for everything that you do on behalf of the Concord School District.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bass.
A pleasure.